Haven't you had teachers that have said the same thing about how they're underpaid?
Yeah, of course. I've had that, especially at public high school, but not so much at college. To be honest, I feel like that doesn't really happen at college.
Oh, well, they're definitely paid more than
Oh yeah,
public
of
school.
course at Temple.
Yeah. So, first of all, I don't even know if that's appropriate, I think, for a public school teacher to be complaining to teens, their students, about how they're underpaid.
Right.
Isn't that kind of ridiculous in the first place?
Yeah, I don't want like I was always told growing up too when I had my first job it's not what's the word?
Professional to
Yeah,
talk
it's not
about your
professional to
wages?
talk about pay or how much you make or to complain about anything. Like, look, we're all just a bunch of 16 to 18-year-olds. We don't like it's not something like we can do. We don't do anything about that.
Right.
Like we're
And,
not
uh-huh.
taxed. We don't pay for the schools at all.
And I think that's why if you tell someone, if you're talking about teacher wages,
Right.
everyone's first point to say is that they think that teachers are underpaid because that's what we're learning from our teachers who are supposed to be like authority figures. They're viewed in the community as people that are giving facts. So you'd hope that they're giving
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So we live in Pennsylvania. So that's one of the states that pays teachers more. I mean, obviously in West Virginia and states like that, teachers, I think they have their right to say that they're underpaid.
Right, yeah. A lot of especially I would say like kind of inner city
Mm-hmm.
teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, especially in our area, I feel like it doesn't make sense at all, especially the area we live.
Yeah. So, do you, well, what is their actual average pay in Pennsylvania for public school
So
teachers?
for average, so it's actually looking at this, and the statistics come from the statistics come from the NEA, so National Education Organization, and the NCES, which is National Center for Education Statistics. And looking at our state, specifically Pennsylvania, we're going to find that the average starting salary is going to be 44,144, and the average salary, so not starting, is going to be 65,860.
So it's the average salary for Pennsylvania teachers is 65,000.
Yeah.
And the average salary for everyone,
You're looking at around 50. So it's actually going to be 58,950 for non-starting, and for the starting salary, it's going to be 38,617.
Okay.
So you're looking at it. Pennsylvania is one of the higher averages, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that's because if you're looking at specifically, like especially the Northeast, it's a lot more affluent areas. That's what I've like come to understand.
So when we look at that, we learn that teachers, at least in Pennsylvania, they're making at least average medium income for every job, pretty much.
And that's Pennsylvania. If you're looking at specifically our area in Warrington, teachers are getting paid a lot more.
Definitely. So first of all, salary-wise, just talking about that number, I feel like they're fine. Just average.
Yeah.
But then you look at benefits. I was just watching a video. I know this isn't Pennsylvania, but it was like a Chris Christie video where he's dealing with the teacher.
Yeah.
And he tells the teacher that they're receiving some of the best health benefits when they're paying very little into the system.
Not only that, job security there is enormous.
Right. So as a teacher, you get at least an average income, hopefully.
Yeah.
And you have good medical benefits.
Right. And you don't have to stress about losing your job.
And what they also have is they can accumulate sick days, which you can't do at pretty much any job not associated with the government. Right. So what they'll do is, when they're about to retire, they'll still have these sick days that they've been saving since they were 20 years old.
So wait, is that a national thing? Like, is that national?
There's some states that are trying to fix it, but I would say most states have that. I mean, I've heard teachers in Pennsylvania talk about it.
Right.
So what their plan is, if they don't use up a sick day that they had when they're in their early 20s, let's say, that still stays with them. They get to add that up. So finally, when they go to retire at 60, they can just use all those days and get paid. They get paid for not being sick.
That's actually quite ridiculous.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
And then people say, "Oh, well, they earned them, so they can burn them." Of course. In my opinion, I don't think that's fair that they can just burn their day. You can't get paid for not being sick. I don't get it.
I mean, especially because there's school. I mean, the way the school system works right now is you get your summers off. So
And you get 2 months off. They're making average income while 2 months off in the summer.
true. Yeah, but I think what you're really finding, really the protesters and those teachers, that's more going to be like not our area.
Well, the protesters are different, but our teachers are saying the same thing, that they're underpaid.
I feel like that's just, to be honest, that doesn't really make sense to me. What I will say though is educators are very important. They should be one of the higher paid professions compared to other jobs because their importance and how they teach, leads to the future of the United States. I've had teachers that were really good
hmm
and that changed my outlook on the
Mhm.
subject, and there's teachers that have been really bad.
And they
And-
all make the same, though.
They do. So maybe what I'm thinking too, it should be based off of merit, just like anything else. If a teacher has, averages that are higher, maybe they should be paid more.
Mhm.
But
But then
with the
they'll-
issue is they'll just cheat.
Yeah, then they'll make the class easier.
Yeah.
Right. So
Right.
that's a hard situation, because how can you even reward merit in a system like that?
I feel like it ought to be treated like that though.
But how, though? How can you enforce it? How can you say, oh, this teacher is better than this teacher?
Um,
It's really hard. I mean, I don't want to say impossible.
and some
Well,
of
maybe
the
there
tougher,
could, yeah.
and I will say some of the teachers that have had tougher grades in
Mhm.
are better.
Well, there are standardized tests at the end of the year, at least. so you could
True.
grade that on.
So maybe, yeah, I think that could make sense then. If you had like a standardized final for each, well,
There are.
there are. So like,
You
yeah,
look at those.
I think you can look at those. But then a lot of teachers will say, well, I'm not focusing on the exam as much as I'm
Yeah.
focusing on teaching
Right, so then you punish the teachers that are just teaching, like,
for teaching.
yeah. So it's a tough situation.
But I mean, I do understand why some of them are saying that teachers deserve more. But at the same time, it's very unprofessional to be talking about that, especially to students.
Yeah,
You know?
and I don't want to go on a rant here. I don't want.
Right.
I don't want to sound mean,
Yeah.
but I think that teachers, that's one profession that is viewed very highly in society, and
Is it?
I think so. If you tell someone that you're a teacher,
Yeah.
I feel like they will just view you highly, because that's the authority figure in the community, kind of.
I don't really
Not
see it that way.
authority,
I don't know.
kind of, but
I
they're
feel
seen
like-
as trustworthy.
I don't think so, to be honest.
You don't think they're seen as trustworthy?
No, not trustworthy, but I don't think they're seen as
I feel like it's seen
Because,
as,
okay,
oh, you're doing
okay.
a great thing. You're a
you're
teacher.
doing a
You're
great thing,
teaching
but
the future generation.
They're not seen as, oh, wow, that must be prestigious, right?
Yeah, you're teaching the
I'm
future
thinking,
generation.
yeah, I'm thinking like, okay, when you tell someone what your job is or what your major is,
Mhm.
you think they're going to be more impressed with what? An accounting degree or an education degree? And be honest.
Impressed. I feel like they're still going to hold the teacher in kind of this a completely different light, because they'll say, "Oh, you're such a great person. You're teaching a future generation."
Right. I don't know. I really can't say, but from what I've heard, like I'm just thinking, some of the more business or science jobs are looked up as higher, where I think that education should be viewed as more important, but I don't think it is.
Oh, I think it's very important. That's why when a teacher says that they're underpaid, everyone just agrees with them instantly. Doesn't even look at the facts.
I guess, okay, yeah, that you make a point with that.
Yeah. And I don't want to be mean again. This is going to
Right.
be controversial, but
Right.
we went to one of the best high schools in Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, of
school
course.
district.
Yeah.
And despite that, I would say that I had maybe 3 teachers in my entire high school career, which I actually thought, oh, this person really knows what he's talking about. He's doing a great job, or he or she.
Yeah.
So